What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match preview stream for you guys. We've got Brian Daigle, Tottenham on tour, in the studio, people. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing very, very good, mate. It's FA Cup third round weekend, which is always a great weekend. And excited to be here again with you, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. Indy Cup for Tottenham. Big history for Tottenham Hotspur in this cup. Is it 8 times Spurs have won this trophy? And you know what? When I was growing up, like, Spurs were, I think, at the top or at second to Manchester United, I think it was, for most wins of the FA Cup. Obviously, since then, Arsenal have won a heap of them, and they're top of the pile now. And the kind of FA Cup tradition from this club has kind of gone down the pan. Do you think it's just in this club, or do you think it's just like football in general? The FA Cup has lost its shine a little bit.
It's hard for me to say, because for me, and I know Bob Spur as well, the FA Cup means everything. It's never lost its magic for me. My first memory of it, unfortunately, my first FA Cup final I remember watching was the Gary Mabbutt own goal against Coventry. And that was the days when you used to watch it from first thing in the morning on BBC with Des Nynam, with the leaving the hotel, the build-up. It was just an outstanding day of football. I think when it started losing its magic is when United won the treble in '99, and they had to go to the Brazil for the World Club Cup, and they didn't take part in it. But it does seem now, compared to what it was then, with all the money that's in football now, and all the resting of players and using it as a rotation, it's, I would say, on the younger generation, it may have lost the magic that we grew up on. But for me, it will never, ever lose its magic.
And talking about a player who was, had a big history in the FA Cup, just before we get into the Spurs and Portsmouth stuff, I want to say, because it's quite important to say today, is Gianluca Vialli passed away today. He obviously had a big history in the FA Cup with Chelsea, and Antonio Conte won't be taking the press conference today because of that. He was a close friend of his, played together at Juventus. And Stellini will be taking a press conference today. So I just want to say, Gianluca Vialli, rest in peace. It's, at times like these, it's important to put rivalries aside. And, he was a great player. Yeah.
I mean, what I'll say is obviously the same with David Gold. Gianluca Vialli, I was telling you the story just before. When I worked in Harrods in 2001, I was in the sports department, in the golf department, and Gianluca Vialli was a regular customer of ours. And he'd always stop and talk to us for half an hour, 45. He was an absolutely wonderful, wonderful man. A great, great footballer, but a wonderful man. And at 58, it's really
too young.
It's way too young. And rest in peace. And like you said, at times like this, rivalries go out the window. So rest in peace, Gianluca Vialli.
Yeah, and also, like, it must have been, I know he's gone too young, but for him to experience that Euros win with Italy on the bench as well, being part of the coaching staff last summer, it must have been great for his family and friends to see him there, and obviously not have him around anymore.
Well, I didn't know this as well. He was actually married to, or he still is, unfortunately now widowed, to an English lady. He stayed in England for a long, long time. I didn't know he was married to an English woman. And obviously he was great friends with Roberto Mancini, and they did a lot of, they won Sampdoria, their first ever Serie A, and they remain great friends. And yeah, he got to see his country, be a part of a coaching team to see his country win anything. I heard a stat as well. He's the only player ever to have a winner's medal and a runners-up medal in the 3 major European Cup, the Cup Winners' Cup, the UEFA Cup, and the Champions League. So he did a lot.
Yeah. Definitely. So rest in peace to Gianluca Vialli. Rest in peace to David Gold as well, who passed away very sadly a few days ago. But let's carry on with the preview. We've FA Cup third round, like I mentioned. Last year in the FA Cup third round, we played Morecambe in a 3-1 victory, and that was that infamous game with Tanguy Ndombele just strolling off the pitch. Hopefully we won't have any more of that come tomorrow, 12:30 kickoff. But how are you feeling coming into this game? Obviously, you're talking about the histories, the traditions of the FA Cup, how close it is to you. How are you feeling coming into this one?
Well, first of all, we were watching that Morecambe game together here, weren't we? And that Tanguy Ndombele thing is the thing, forget the result, that stood out the most of that game. I think it's what everyone will remember. These games are always tricky. The third round, because it's always builders, there's going to be a shock. The fact we're at home is good. Portsmouth, which we'll discuss later, have just lost their manager. Dane Scarlett can't play. It's just a wonderful weekend. I imagine, I haven't been to a third round day or an FA Cup game for a good few years now, because obviously living in Canada. But it's a more family orientated day, isn't it? So it's going to be a nice occasion tomorrow.
Most definitely will. And when you're looking at Portsmouth, they started the season really strongly this season, Portsmouth. Dane Scarlett was on fire for them, scoring in the goals and everything like that. But it's all seemed to have gone wrong in the past couple of weeks. And Danny Cowley, the manager, has been sacked now. And it's be interesting to see what impact that does have on Dane Scarlett, because he was a massive fan.
Huge. He was huge. He was raving about his defensive work and his tracking back. He was his energy, and he was doing some things with Dane Scarlett. And obviously, like you said, does that now make him a first choice? Will he be on the bench? Does Spurs look at if he's not there? Does he come back to us? We know he won't be playing tomorrow, but yeah, it could have a huge impact on Dane Scarlett's progress.
Yeah, it will be. And when you're looking at that form for Portsmouth coming into it, they haven't won in the last 4 games, 2 draws and 2 losses. Big part of why he has been sacked. When you're looking at the teams that they have lost to as well, Charlton and MK Dons, who were really struggling in that league, with Charlton 17th and MK Dons 2nd from bottom in 23rd. So when you're starting to lose to those teams, when you're trying to get promotion, you know things aren't going right. Scored only 6 goals in their last 5 games, 7 conceded in their last 5 games. And on the flip side, Spurs not been on the greatest form, but on the back of a really convincing win away at Crystal Palace, and surely that win's going to give us confidence.
It can't give you anything back, can it? A tough place to go, getting the result done in the second half, as we've been doing consistently this season. And yeah, that's got to give us the the confidence. But like I said, we cannot take the FA Cup third round day for granted.
No, we can't.
Not just because of the form that we've been in and inconsistently, but this is a day where there are major upsets.
Do you know when the last time Spurs lost in the third round was?
Oh, Jesus.
Here's a bit of a quiz for you.
There is a bit of a quiz for me. Right, let me think.
And
Just
you
'cause
guys in the comments can answer as well,
Yeah,
by the way. Let us know. Do you know when the last time Spurs lost in the third round of the FA Cup?
Not a clue.
Not a clue.
Not a clue.
It was in the 13-14 season when we played Arsenal in the third round of the FA
With
Cup.
Theo Walcott. And when he did...
2-0, yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you said the 13, I thought you were going to say like 1913 or something. I was like, no. I remember third round defeats after that. Yeah, that's a long time.
And the time before that was 05-06 against Leicester. Do you remember that one? 3-2.
Yes, I was watching that in Eilat. I'd just come back from England when I was living in Israel. I think, if I'm right, Mabizela scored a wonderful banger.
No, that wasn't in that game. Mabizela scored in the league. I think in this game, I think it was Stalteri that scored the banger.
Outside the area, bang. And then we went 2-1. We lost 2-1.
3-2.
There you go. I'm on fire today. Fire.
I think it was Stalteri. Let me just double check.
It was.
I've got it here. Yeah, Stalteri.
Fellow Canadian.
Yeah. Stalteri and Gina scored for us. We went 2-0 up. And then Elvis Hammond scored in the 44th minute for Leicester to put it 2-1. And then Stephen Hughes scored 57th minute, and Mark de Vries scored in the 90th minute to send them through.
There you go. I mean, the only comeback I remember like that was when we lost to Man City. When
we lost to Manchester United.
No, I'm talking the FA Cup.
Oh, FA Cup.
FA Cup. Yeah, let's hope. Like I said, it is FA Cup down there, FA Cup day. There are some big fixtures with Premier League versus lower league teams. I'm sure there will be a couple of people that will fall out, but let's hope and pray it's not us, and I don't think it will be.
Yeah, let's hope not. I mean, with Danny Cowley being sacked, are you fearful of the new manager bounce?
Joe, what I'm more fearful of is obviously one thing we do know is those Pompey fans are crazy. They will be
with
non-stop. Yep, they are non-stop. They are a passionate bunch of fans that when they come, they make noise everywhere they go. So I think they've got, was it about 9,000?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of noise coming from there. Obviously, new manager bounce always seems to work. Is it who have they kept? They kept Cowley's assistant, or
I don't know. I don't know who they've kept or who's going to be taking the hot seat, but we'll find out tomorrow.
There's a big reveal, and it's like Jose Mourinho or something. But no, we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, that new manager bounce and FA Cup banana skin, you don't like those combinations.
No, you don't. And look, what is it about Spurs recently in the FA Cup? When you're looking at the teams that we've lost to, we last reached the semi-finals in 17-18 to Manchester United, which is fair enough. Anyone can win that game. But since then, 4th round 18-19 against Crystal Palace, 19-20 5th round against Norwich, 2021 fifth round against Everton, and last season against Middlesbrough. I mean, what is going on with us in the FA Cup recently?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go where I could go. Middlesbrough, we were here again, the watch along. That was just a shocking performance. It was unacceptable. It really, really was. That was a poor display. The one before you said was it Norwich?
Yeah.
I remember watching that. That should never have gone. That was a Michael Vaughan mistake right at the end.
No, it was Everton before.
Sorry,
Everton. We actually played really well that game.
Yeah, that was. And then Harry Kane went off injured.
Yeah.
And it was the very near end of Jose Mourinho and the Super League coming up. Then we had obviously Norwich, which was just that Michael Vaughan mistake, and the famous Eric Dyer running up the stands. I don't know what it is. But we need to rectify this. Like you said, we were the first team to ever win it 8 times, and that last one being 1991. Arsenal were nowhere near it, and now they have 14 of them. And we need to change this. We need to change this quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about time the club started bringing some traditions back as well. And this competition was so close to everything of the traditions. And like when you're looking at the history of the football club, right, we were never a team that go and won the league and challenged for titles every year. But what we were a team that went and challenged for the FA Cup every year, right?
Yep.
So where has that gone?
I don't know. I mean, I used to remember growing up, and it literally people feared getting Tottenham Hotspur in the FA Cup. It was like, oh, here we go. That it was one of those numbers, like when they're doing the draw, they were one of the numbers they used to harp on about, and people didn't want to get. And there was such a tradition. Like I said, there's that one record that I don't think ever will be broken, to be the only team to win it non-league, 1901. Obviously, football is wildly different than it was back then, but that's still a record to be. The year ends in one. The first team to do this, the first team to do that. First team to do the double. I
think the year ended in one, died in 2001,
yes,
didn't it?
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for saying that instead of me. But yeah, this is a cup that mine, like I said, me and Bosper, who are people know our relationship, it grew based on that 1991 FA Cup run and the Gaza free kick and the Gaza display against Arsenal and the final where he went off injured. This cup of my generation was ingrained in you. This is something that, like you said, Spurs, you get. They will go quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals. That is what you expected. And it just hasn't happened in recent years. It really hasn't. Like you said, the semi-final against Manchester United, we just didn't turn up, I don't think. We had the one against Chelsea, and I was there.
But that semi-final against Manchester United, right, I thought we started really well. And Moussa Dembele was running the show, and then he brought on Pogba, Mourinho.
Yep.
And it was game over from then. Pogba completely tore us apart, didn't he?
He did. What I will say as well with the Chelsea one, is I was there, I think, for huge sections of that game. We were incredible.
Yeah, we were.
Absolutely incredible. But they had Hazard, Diego Costa and someone else on the bench, brought them on, and Matic had his back to me right in front of me when he let go of that rocket, and that was a no goalie saving that. It could have been 2 in there. And we just need to get over the line with the semi-final record we have at the moment is just
our record in general in the FA Cup is tragic lately. Tragic.
Yep.
Since the Poch days, we haven't got past the 5th round.
There we go. And hopefully Conte can change that, because Conte's had his hands on this cup. So let's hope we can do it. Like you said, listen, this cup is a big piece of fabric in our DNA, in our history, and we need to bring it back. We have to bring it back.
And it's not been part of our traditions for so long now. I mean, everyone in the comments is going, "Oh yeah, it's because of Levy happened." But actually, like we hadn't won the FA Cup 10 years before he even came to this football club. So these traditions died even before he came to the club.
They did. I can agree with that. But again, it comes down to recruitment. Again, it comes down to did we have the players to compete? So,
you say it comes down to recruitment, but in that time, Wigan have won the FA Cup. You know what I mean? Teams much smaller than us with much less infrastructure than us, much less. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. On that, you're right. Like I said, I always say, once those players cross the line, the result and the performance have nothing to do with Levy, but the fact they're on the pitch has everything to do with Levy, and the players just haven't had. But again, there's not that winning mentality. I showed you that thing with Kyle Walker that said yesterday. Where he said, when I won with Man City, I finally knew I had that winning mentality. I wasn't just a participant in finals, I was a winner in finals. And that comes down to it as well. So it was before Levy. It's carried on with Levy. And we need to end it with Levy whilst he's still here, because this cup means everything to Spurs fans.
Absolutely. And since Spurs have last won the FA Cup, apart from all the usual names, Everton have won it, Portsmouth have won it, Wigan have won it.
Portsmouth won it by beating us in the semi-final.
Yeah, and Leicester have won it. But you know what? That they beat us in the semi-final, and I remember coming out of Wembley that day, and I saw a mate of mine on Wembley Way, and I was with Sim, and we had Arsenal a few days later with the Danny Rose moment,
Yep.
and I was like, oh my God, we've got Arsenal and Chelsea in the space of a week.
Yep.
And little did we know what was coming around the corner.
Exactly.
And you know what? I would take that Portsmouth loss for those two wins any day of the week.
When you put it up against that and what it went on to the first time we got in the Champions League, for once, I will say that one was more important than the trophy. Only that once.
Yeah.
Especially with it Arsenal and Chelsea back to back, and the Danny Rose goal, and that was the coming of Gareth Bale. That's when we destroyed Chelsea, scored against Arsenal, and we went on there. But yeah, again, I can't keep reiterating just how important is this cup. And let's face it, this is our, I would say, only realistic chance of silverware. We're not winning the Premier League, so we can all forget that straight away. And it is going to be very, very tough ask to win the Champions League.
Absolutely. If you bring up the next graphic, this is a predicted lineup for Portsmouth coming into the game. Obviously, they've got a few injuries and suspensions for this game. So Reed is injured, Scarlett is ineligible, and Pack got sent off for a double yellow in their last game, so he is going to be out. And it's an interesting one. That left-back, Connor Ogilvie, I think he came through the ranks at Tottenham Hotspur as well. So it's a big day for him coming back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So we're going to go for Griffiths, Swanson, Morrison, Raga and Ogilvie at the back. Curtis, well, I can't read it from here. Morel.
I can't either.
Can you read it?
No.
I've got it right here, so it's all right. Tunnicliffe, Morel, Dale and Curtis in the middle with Pigott and Bishop up front. And I believe Bishop is the man to watch out for there, being their top goal scorer this season. But looking at this game, Brian, what is your score prediction?
I'm going with my heart. I'm going 3-1 Tottenham.
3-1 Spurs.
I'm going 3-1 Tottenham. But again, it all depends. You just brought
Surely
up
we can keep a clean sheet against a managerless Portsmouth.
Why say it? I say these things, and then if we don't concede, I'm happy. You do that, and it's like, oh, for God's sake. So you look at it like
because I tell my true predictions.
Also, what you've what you've got to remember as well, we have no idea what this squad's going to be. This isn't going to be. I don't think you're going to see like the first 11 for a Premier League game.
Let's actually talk about that, because I think. Obviously, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty in the predicted lineup a bit later, but let's talk about what kind of team that we think is going to turn up. I mean, Forster's probably going to play right in goal.
I would imagine.
Right back, you're probably going to see a return of Emerson Royale, I'm guessing, because give Matt Doherty, or maybe Jed Spence.
I'll tell you what, if he doesn't get a look in tomorrow, then what more can you say about he does not trust him, he does not want him, message to the hierarchy? Not for me. Go get Porro or go get whoever.
Come on, he has to play Spence in this game.
I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Whether we do see it is the question.
Well, what's your gut feeling telling you? It's a FA Cup game against a League One team at home. Like, surely he has to play.
Put it this way. I'm more confident that we're going to see Sarr in midfield.
Sarr's, I think Sarr's nailed on. Sarr's nailed on.
We're going to see.
I love it when you call me Big Papa.
Oh, you're going to get that going, aren't you? But I think there's a much bigger chance of seeing him. Or I'll go this far. I think there's a much bigger chance of seeing him and Skip in the middle than there is of seeing Spencer right wing back.
Do you think with Bissouma's suspension last game, there's a chance of Sarr Bissouma in the middle?
Do you know what? The way he was saying about Ollie Skip, well, you know when he said yesterday that he from what you're hearing, Conte prefers Sarr over Bissouma now? I wouldn't be surprised to see Bissouma skip. Sarr skip.
Sarr skip.
Because if you're saying that you're not that confident, he does trust Ollie Skip. Ollie Skip needs minutes to get back to where he is. So this is what I'm saying, where this scoreline is, we don't know who's going to start. So yeah, I personally would love to see Jed Spence start tomorrow. but I'm not confident he will. I think he may get more minutes than he ever has done, like come on at half time or something, but I just can't see him starting.
And when you're looking at the centre-back options, obviously we went for Dyer in the middle, Longley left, and Romero on the right. Do you think Romero might be given a rest in this game?
I think he may, but obviously without him, this defence becomes very, very suspect again. I mean, the 2 games that Romero's been back in, he's been brilliant for us.
Look, if you can't bring in a Davinson Sanchez or someone of the like, or Ben Davis for League One managerless Portsmouth on a really bad run, then what's the point of these players?
I'll tell you, have a look. Even though, no, it was Conte for the FA Cup last year. What was the team line-up for Morecambe?
Ndombele played, that's for sure.
Let's have a look at the lineup and let's kind of gauge what he did with players that were kind of on the fringe and see what he did.
So the lineup was Galini in goal, Doherty right wing back, Sessegnon left wing back, Davis, Roden and Tanganga, Lo Celso, Winks and Ndombele with Ali and Brian Hill up top.
So there you go. So now you've got to look at it and think.
But
right,
Morecambe as well is much lower than.
Yeah,
lower.
but you got to think. I know that, but I think you may see a couple of. Okay, let's put it this way. Rather than trying to think, if you were to see 2 first teamers, or let's get 2, 3 max.
I want to see Harry Kane given a rest.
Yep.
I want to see Sonny probably given a rest as well. Højbjerg given a rest. Romero given a rest. Lloris given a rest.
So the 3, who would be the 3 if you said, okay, 3 first teamers? And I don't mean regular, I mean people that we'd say that have played first team football regularly.
I'm not sure. I'd like to see a much changed team, to be honest. I'd like to see Forster in goal. This is the team I would go for. I'd like to see Forster in goal, Sanchez right centre-back, keep Dyer in the centre-back, and Davis at the left centre-back. Left wing back Ryan Sessegnon, right wing back Jed Spence, a middle 2 of Sarr and either Skip or Basuma, I don't mind which one. Brian Hill.
Brian Hill.
Brian Hill. But we got no options up front. That's the problem with Richarlison and Kulusevski most likely out. We've got no options. I think we have to play Hill, Kane, Son.
Yeah, or does he do what we said maybe he does against Palace and go 3 in the middle? And give Kane a rest and have Son and Hill up front.
I don't think so at home to Portsmouth. I don't think we've got any options up front. I think we have to play Kane and Son. I think with Kulusevski and Richarlison out, who else can we play?
I do want to see Kane rested.
For who though?
That we'll try and piece together for the predicted lineup. But I think he needs a rest and have him on the bench. So if the worst is happening and we need goals, or it's 0-0, or we're drawing, we need to get this wrapped up, get him on. But I would rather he come on from the bench. I really would. I don't know what
he brought on Kane 88th minute last year when we were 3-1 up or 2-1 up.
There you go.
But we had Dele Alli at least
that
we could have played.
He was putting up.
Yeah, but at least it was an option, and we actually literally have no options this time.
10. Take out Ndombele 9.
That's true. JR's saying, what about Harvey White? I'll play Harvey White. I'll play Harvey White for sure.
There's a shout. Because you wanted to mention him as well because he came on against.
Yeah, he was brilliant. He was really good when he came on, and his delivery is brilliant.
His corners were fantastic.
Yeah. So I'll play Harvey White for sure.
There you go.
Harvey White. But do you play Harvey White in the midfield? Do you play him as left wing back? Do you play him across the front line? Where do you play him?
This is what we see. This is the thing. What I think is stopping Harvey White's development is we haven't identified a position. When we were watching doing the Nice watch along here, the way they had him in the lineup was behind the front 3 or behind the front 2, kind of like in the diamond or attacking mid. Then you saw it when I think it was when you were in Israel or in Korea. He came on as a left wing back. We just can't identify a position for him, and I would like to see him. And given the time, who knows? My boy Alfie, who played against Marine, you could see him coming. You could see Alfie Devine for a few minutes. I wouldn't be opposed to that either.
I think he'll come on. I can't see Alfie Devine starting, but I can see him coming on.
I'd love it if he came on. Love it. But this is the thing with the FA Cup, and then you start saying these things about a managerless Portsmouth, and we can't even think of a team that's coming out, and we're saying it could be a very much changed team. They will play a team. This is huge for them, isn't it? This will be they'll go full strength or what they can physically put out. So you never know.
You know what we should do? We should recall Dane Scarlett for this game.
I think we'd even missed the deadline to do it.
Yeah, we should have recalled him, and if he's not going to work out in Portsmouth since the manager changed, send him out on loan somewhere else.
Well, this is the thing. This is just the magic of the FA Cup, isn't it? Because they kept trying to get him to be able to not be cup tied, so he could play for Portsmouth. In the first round, they said no. Second round, they said no. Third round, who did we get? And I don't think Portsmouth even bothered making the call. Any chance? So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that the team formation, the squad selection is going to be quite intriguing.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. That is our match preview. Brian's going. What did you say? 3-1.
Go 3-1.
I'm gonna go 3-0 Spurs. Actually, Sanchez at the back, so I'll stick with it 3-1. I'll stick with it 3-1. But that is our predictions and our match preview.